we continue to educate the knowledge, which name Srimad Bhagavatam, and today the second day, and actually we're running the fourth day, and we don't have any challenges. It's very good experience. And in 1-2 days you will feel that something will happen about our psychology, because we read not just usual material literature. It's knowledge how to communicate with God. We must understand that we have some sort of spirit education. We read, but also we educate. And also we need to check our level. And also we need to be ready to some challenges which will help us to progress. Maybe not everybody will educate for themselves. But this marathon will help people to understand who they are. And it will be very good if somebody will get a good experience. And we will continue. We read previous day. And it gives to us the real understanding of life, not the illusion. Usually our life don't connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's not very good if people don't have knowledge about God. We need to wait. When we will taste the sweet of this knowledge. We read about how Shukadeva Goswami was appeared. And he will give to us his deep knowledge. And when they have some speaking, they understand they need a spiritual master. And they start to asking questions to Shukadeva Goswami. And he speak Bhagavatam to them. And this knowledge, they came to our life, and the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, he translated it to us. a seat like you think it's better for you, and we are starting. We need to start. We'll say some prayers to go deeper, to have some mood.
Песня третья, старый школ, глава 8,
Uh,
проявление Брахмы из Гарпадакашаи.
Canto 3, Chapter 8, Manifestation of Brahma from Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. The great sage Maitreya Muni said to Vidura, the royal dynasty of King Puri is worthy to serve the pure devotees because all descendants of that family are devoted to the personality of Godhead. You are also born in that family, and it is a wonderful that because of your attachment, the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are becoming never and never at every moment. Let me know now. Begin speaking of the Bhagavatam Purana, which was directly spoken to the great sages by the personality of Godhead for the benefit of those who are intelligent in extreme miseries for the sake of very little pleasure. Some time ago, being inquisitive to know Sanatana Kumara, the chief of the boy saints, accompanied by other great sages, inquired exactly like you about the truth-reading Vasudeva, the Supreme, from Lord Sankarsana, who is seated at the bottom of the universe. At that time, Lord Sankarsana was meditating upon his Supreme Lord, whom the learned esteem as Lord Vasudeva, but for the sake of the advancement, the great learned sages, he slightly opened his lotus-like eyes and began to speak. The sages came from the highest planets down to the lower region through the water of Ganges, and therefore their hair on their heads was wet. They touched the lotus feet of Lord, which is worshipped with various paraphernalia by the daughters of the Serpent King when they desire good husbands. The four Kumaras headed by Sanatana Kumara, who all knew the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, glorified the Lord in rhythmic accent with selected words full of affection and love. At that time, Lord Sankarsana, with his thousands of raised hoods, began to radiate an effulgence from the glowing stone on his head. Lord Sankarsana thus spoke in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam to the great sage Sanatana Kumara, who had already taken the vow of renunciation. Sanatana Kumara also, in his turn, when inquired by Sankarsana Muni, explained Srimad Bhagavatam as he had heard it from Sankarsana. The great sage Sankarsana was the chief among the transcendental, and when he was describing the glories of the Lord in terms of Srimad Bhagavatam, it so happened that my spiritual master Parasha and Brihaspati both heard him. The great sage Parasha, as aforementioned, being so advised by the great sage Pulastya, spoke unto me the foremost of the Puranas Bhagavatam. I shall also describe this before you, my dear son, in terms of my hearing, because you are always faithful follower. At the time when the three worlds were submerged in water, Garbhodakasaya Vishnu was alone, lying on his bedstead, the great snake Ananta, and also he appeared to be in slumber in his own internal potency, free from the action of external energy. His eyes were not completely closed. Just like the stretch of fire within fuel wood, the Lord remained within the water of dissolution, submerging all the living entities in their subtle bodies. He lay in the self invigorated energy called Kala. The Lord lowered down for 1,000 cycles of 4 yagas in his internal potency, and by his external energy he appeared to be sleeping within the water. When the living entities were coming out for the further development of their fruitive activities acted by the energy called Kala Shakti, he saw his transcendental body as bluish. The subtle subject matter of creation, on which the Lord's attention was fixed, was agitated by the material mode of passion, and thus the subtle form of creation pierced through his abandon. Piercing through this sum total form of the fruitive activity of the living entities took the shape of the bud of lotus flower generated from the personality of Vishnu, and by his supreme will it illuminated everything like the sun and dried up the vast voices of devastation. Into that universal lotus flower, Lord Vishnu personally entered as a supersoul, and when it was this impregnant with all the modes of material nature, the personality of Vedic wisdom, whom we call the self-born, was generated. Brahma, born out of the lotus flower, could not see the world. Also, he was situated in the hurl. He therefore circumambulated all of space, and while moving his eyes in all directions, he achieved 4 heads in terms of 4 directions. Lord Brahma, situated in that lotus, could not perfectly understand the creation, the lotus of himself. The lotus or himself. At the end of the millennium, the air of devastation began to move, the water and the lotus in great circular waves. Lord Brahma, in his ignorance, contemplated who am I that I am situated on the top of the lotus, wherefrom has I sprouted? There must be something downward, and that from which this lotus has grown must be within the water. Lord Brahma, thus contemplating, entered the water through the channel of the system of the lotus, but in spite of entering the stem and going near to the navel of Vishnu, he could not trace out the root. O Vidura, while searching in that way about his existence, Brahma reached his ultimate time, which is the eternal will in hand of Vishnu, and which generates fear in the mind of the living entity like the fear of death. Thereafter, being unable to achieve the desired destination, he returned He retired from such searching and came back again to the top of the lotus. Thus, controlling all objectives, he concentrated his mind on the Supreme Lord. At the end of Brahma's 100 years, When his meditation was complete, he developed the required knowledge, and as a result, he could see in his heart the Supreme within himself, whom he could not see before within the greatest endeavor. Brahma could see that on the water there was a gigantic lotus-like, wide-breasted, the body of Sheshanaga, on which the personality of Godhead was lying alone. The whole atmosphere was illuminated by the rays of the jewelers bathing the hood of Sevanaga, and that illumination dissipated all the darkness of those regions. The luster of the transcendental body of Lord mocked the beauty of the coral mountain. The coral mountain is very beautiful dressed by the evening sky, but the yellow dress of Lord mocked its beauty. There is a gold of the summit of the mountain, but the Lord's helmet, bedecked with jewels, mocked it. The mountains, waterfalls, decorated with jewels, petals, tulsi leaves, and flower garlands, mocked the skin of the mold, the sin on the mountain. His transcendental body, unlimited in length and breadth, occupied the three planetary systems, upper, middle, and lower. His body was self-illuminated by unapparelled dress and very variegated and was properly ornamented. The Lord showed his lotus feet by raising them. His lotus feet are the source of all awards achieved by devotional service. Free from material contamination, such awards are for those who worship him in pure devotion, the splendor of transcendental rays. From his moon-like toenails and fingernails appeared like the petals of flower. He also acknowledged the service of the devotees and vanquished their distress by his beautiful smile. The reflection of his face, decorated within earrings, was so pleasing because it dazzled with the rays from his lips and the beauty of his nose and eyebrows. O my dear Vidura, the Lord's waist was covered with yellow clothes, resembling the saffron dust of like kadamba flower, and it was encrusted by a well-decorated belt. His chest was decorated with the Srimad marking and a necklace of unlimited value. As a sandalwood tree is decorated with fragrant flowers and branches, the Lord's body was decorated with valuable jewels and pearls. He was the self-situated tree, the Lord of all others in the universe. And as a sandalwood tree is covered with many snakes, so the Lord's body was also covered by the hoods of Ananda. Like a great mountain, the Lord stands as the abode for all moving and non-moving living entities. He is the friend of snakes because Lord Ananta is his friend. As a mountain has thousands of golden peaks, so the Lord was seen with thousands of golden helmet, hoods of Ananta Naga. And as a mountain is sometimes filled with jewels, so also his transcendental body was fully decorated with valuable jewels. As a mountain is sometimes submerged in the ocean water, so the Lord is sometimes submerged in the water of devotion. Lord Brahma, thus looking up the Lord in the shape of a mountain, concluded that he was Hari, the personality of Godhead. He saw that the garland of flowers on his chest glorified him with Vedic wisdom in sweet songs and looked very beautiful. He was protected by the Sudarshana wheel for fighting, and even the sun, moon, air, fire, etc. could not have access to him. When Lord Brahma, the maker of the universal destination, the soul, the Lord, he is simultaneously glanced over creation. Lord Brahma saw the lake in Lord Vishnu navel and the lotus flower, as well as the devastating water, the drying air, and the sky. All became visible to him. Lord Brahma, thus being saturated with the mode of patience, became inclined to create, and after seeing the five causes of creation indicated by the personality of Godhead, he began to offer his respectful prayers on the path of the creative mentally. Chapter 9, Brahma's praise for creative energy. Lord Brahma said, "O my Lord, today, after many years of penance, I have come to know about you. Oh, how unfortunately the employed living entities are that they are unable to know your personality. My Lord, you are the only knowable object because there is nothing supreme beyond you. If there is, if there is anything supposedly superior to you, it is not the absolute. You exist at the supreme by exhibiting the creative energy of matter. The form which I see is internally freed from material contamination and has advanted to show mercy to the devotees as a manifestation of internal potency. This incarnation is the origin of many other incarnations, and I am born from the lotus flower grown from your navel home. O my Lord, I don't see a form superior to your present form of internal bliss and knowledge, and your impersonal Brahman influence is the spiritual sky. There is no occasional change and no deterioration of internal potency. I surrender unto you because whereas I am proud of material body, and since your lordship is the cause of the cosmic manifestation, and yet you are untouched by matter. This present form or any transcendental form expanded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is equally auspicious for all universes. Since you have manifested this internal personal form upon whom your devotees meditated, I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Those who are destined by the dispatched to your path of hell neglected your personality from because of speculating on material topics. O my Lord, persons who smell the aroma of your lotus feet carried by the air of Vedic sounds through the holes of the ears accept your devotional service. For them you are never separated from the lotus of their hearts. O my Lord, the people of the world are embraced by all material and exists. They are always afraid. They always try to protect wills, body, and friends. They are filled with lamentation and unlawful desires and paraphernalia, and they evacuously base their undertakings on the perishable conception of my and mine. As long as they do not take shelter of your safe lotus feet, they are full of such anxieties. O my Lord, persons who are bereft of all auspicious performance of chanting and hearing about your transcendental activities are certainly unfortunate and are also bereft of good sins. They engage in inauspicious activities, enjoying sin's gratification for every little while. O great actor, my lord, all these poor creatures are constantly perplexed by hunger, thirst, severe cold, secretion, and the bile, attacked by coughing winter, blasting summer, rains, and many other disturbing elements, and overwhelmed by strong sex urges and indefatigable anger. I take pity on them, and I am very much aggrieved for them. O my lord, the material measures are without factual existence for the soul, yet as long as the conditioned soul sees the body as meant for this sees enjoyment, he can't get out of the intelligence of material measures, being influenced by your external energy. Such non-devotees engage their sins in very troublesome and extensive work, and they suffer insomnia at night because their intelligence constantly breaks their sleep with various mental specialists. They are frustrated in all their various plans by supernatural power. Even great sages, if they are against your transcendental topic, must rotate in the material world. O my lord, your devotees can see you through the ears by the process of bona fide hearing, and though their hearts become cleansed and you take your seat there, you are also merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular internal form of transcendence in which they always think of you. My lord, you are not very much satisfied by the worship of the demigods, who arrange for your worship very pompously, with various paraphernalia, but who are full of material hankerings. You are situated in everyone's heart as the super soul, just to show your casual mercy, and you are the eternal well-wisher, but you are unavailable for the non-devotees. But the pious activities of the people, such as the performance of Vedic rituals, charity, penitence, and transcendental service performed with a view to worship you and satisfy you by offering you the fruitive result, are also beneficial. Such acts of religion never go in vain. Let me offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Transcendence, who is internal distinguished by his internal potency, his indistinguishable impersonal future is realized by intelligence for the self-realization. I offer my obeisances unto him who by his pastimes enjoys the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. Let me take the shelter of the lotus feet of him whose incarnation qualities and activities are mysterious imitations of worldly affairs. One who invokes his transcendental names even occasionally at the time he quiets this life is certainly washed immediately over the sins of many births and attains him without fail. Your lordship is the prime root of the tree of the planetary system. This tree has grown by first penetrating the material nature in three trunks, as me, Shiva, and you, the Almighty, for creation, maintenance, and dissolution, and we tree have grown with many branches. Therefore I offer my obeisances unto you, the tree of the cosmic manifestation. People in general all engage in foolish acts, not in the really beneficial activities inquired directly by you for their guidance. As long as their tendency for foolish work remains powerful, all their plans in the struggle for existence will be cut to pieces. I therefore offer my obeisances unto him who acts as the eternal time, who acts as the eternal time. Your Lordship, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you who are indefatigable time and the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Also, I am situated in on a dot which will continue to exist for a time duration of 2 parathas. Also, I am the leader of all other planets in the universe, and also I have undergone many years of the penitence for self-realization. Still I offer my respect unto you. O my Lord, by your own will you appear in the various species of living entities, among animals lower than human beings, as well as among the demigods to perform your transcendental pastimes. You are not affected by material contamination. You come just to fulfill the obligation of your own principles of religion, and therefore, O Supreme Personality, I offer my obeisances unto you for manifesting such different forms. My Lord, you accept the pleasure of sleeping in the water of divination, where there are violent waves, and you enjoy pleasure on the bed of snakes, showing the happiness of your sleep to intelligent person. At that time, all the universal planets are staged within your abutment. O object of my worship, or object of my worship, I am born from the house of your lotus navel for the purpose of creating the universe by your mercy. All these planets of the universe was stationed within your transcendental abdomen while you were enjoying sleep. Now, your sleep having ended, your eyes are open like blossoming lotus in the morning. Let the Supreme Lord be merciful to me. He is the one friend and the soul of all living entities in the world, and He maintains all, for they are unlimited happiness by His 6 transcendental obeisances. May He be merciful towards me, so that I, as before, may be empowered with the introspection to create, for I am also one of the surrendered souls who are dear to the Lord. The Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, is always the benefaction of the surrendered souls. His activities are always enacted through his internal potency. Rama, or the goddess of fortune, I pray only to engage in his service in the creation of material world, and I pray that I not be the materially affected by works, for thus I may be able to give up the false prestige of being the creator. The Lord's potencies are unbearable. As he lies down in the water of divination, I am born as the total universal energy from the navel lake in which the lotus sports. I am now engaged in manifesting his diverse energies in the form of the cosmic manifestation. I therefore pray that in the course of my material activities I might not be deviated from the vibration of the Vedic hymns. The Lord, who is supreme and the oldest of all, is unlimited merciful. I wish that He may smiling bestow His benediction upon them by opening His lotus eyes. He can uplift their entire cosmic creation and remove our dejection by kindly speaking His directions. The sage Maitreya said, O Vidura, after observing the source of his appearance, namely the personality of Godhead, Brahma prayed for his mercy as far as his mind and words would permit him. Thus, having prayed, he became silent, as if tired from his activities of penance, knowledge, and mental concentration. The Lord saw that Brahma was very anxious about the planning and construction of the different planetary system and was depressed upon seeing the devastating water. He could understand the intention of Brahma, and thus he spoke in deep, thoughtful words, removing all the illusions that had arisen. The Supreme Personality of Godhead then said, O Brahma, O depths of Vedic wisdom, be neither depressed nor anxious about the existence of creation. What you are beings from me has already been granted before. O Brahma, situate yourself in a penance and meditation and follow the principles of knowledge to receive my favor. By these actions, you will be able to understand everything from within your heart. O Brahma, when you are abroad in devotional service in the course of your creative activities, you will see me in your and through the universe, and you will see that you yourself, the universe, and the living entities are all in me. You will see me in all living entities, as well as all over the universe, just as a fire is situated in a wood. Only in that state of transcendental vision will you be able to be free from all kinds of illusion. When you are free from the conception of gross and suitable bodies, and when your senses are free from all influences of all modes of material nature, you will realize your pure form in my association. At that time you will be situated in pure consciousness. Science, you have desired to increase the population in umbrella and expand your varieties of service. You shall never be deprived in this matter, because my causeless mercy upon you will always increase for all time. You are the original Rishi, and because your mind is always fixed on me, even so you will be engaged in generating various pregnancy. The victim's mode of patience will never encroach upon you. Also, I am not easily knowable by the condited soul. You have known me today because you know that my personality is not constituted of anything material, and specifically not of 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. When you were contemplating whether there was a source of the stem of the lotus of your birth, and you are even entered into that system, you could not trace out anything, but at the time I manifested my form from within. O Brahma, the prayers that you have chanted praising the glorious transcendental activity, the penitence you have undertaken to understand me, and your firm faith in me, all these are to be considered by casual mercy. I am very much pleased by your description of me in terms of my transcendental qualities, which appear mundane to the mundaners. I grant you all benediction. I grant you all benedictions in your desire to glorify all your planets by your activities. Any human being who prays like Brahma and who thus worships me shall very soon be blessed within the fulfillment of all his desires. For I am the Lord of all benedictions. It is the opinion of expert transcendental, the ultimate goal of performing all transcendental good works, penances, sacrifices, charities, mystic activities, trances, etc., is to invoke my satisfaction. I am the super soul of every individual. I am the supreme director and the diarist. People are wrongly attached to the gross as subtle bodies, but they should be attached to me only. By following my instructions, you can now generate the living entities as before by dint of your complete Vedic wisdom, and the body you have directly received from me, the supreme cause of everything. The sage Maitreya said, after instructing Brahma, the creator of the universe, to expand the primeval Lord, the personality of Godhead in his personal form as Narayana disappeared. Chapter 10 Divisions of the Creation. Sri Vidura said, O great sage, please let me know how Brahma, the grandfather of the planetary inhabitants, created the bodies of the living entities from his own body and mind after the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. O greatly learned one, kindly eradicate all my doubts and let me know of all that I have inquired from you from the beginning to the end. Sutta Goswami said, O son of Bhrigu, the great sage Maitreya Muni, thus hearing from Vidura, felt very much enlivened. Everything was in his heart, and thus he began to reply to the questions one after another. The greatly learned sage Maitreya said, O Vidura, Brahma thus engaged himself in patience for the 100 celestial years as advised by the personality of Godhead, and applied himself in devotional service to the Lord. Thereafter Brahma saw that both the lotus on which he was situated and the water on which the lotus was growing were trembling due to a strong violent wind. Long penance and transcendental knowledge of self-realization had matured Brahma in particular knowledge, and thus he drank the wine completely along with the water. Thereafter he saw that the lotus on which he was situated was spread throughout the universe, and he contemplated how to create all these planets which were previously merged in that very same lotus. Thus engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Brahma entered into the whirl of the lotus, and it spread all over the universe. He divided it into 3 divisions of worlds, and later into 14 divisions. Lord Brahma is the most excited personality in the universe because of his causal devotional service unto the Lord in mature transcendental knowledge. He therefore created all the 13 planetary divisions for inhabitation by the different types of living entities. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O my lord, O greatly learned sage, kindly describe eternal time, which is another form of the Supreme Lord, the wonderful actor What are the symptoms of that eternal time? Please describe them to us in detail. Maitreya said, eternal time is the primeval source of the instructions of the three modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless, and it works as the instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pastimes in the material creation. This cosmic manifestation is separate from the Supreme Lord as material energy by means of Kala, which is the unmanifested impersonal future of the Lord. It is situated as the objective manifestation of the Lord under the influence of the same material energy of Vishnu. This cosmic manifestation is as it now. It was the same in the past and it will be continued in the same way in the future. There are 9 different kinds of creation besides the one which naturally occurs due to the integrators of the mode. There are 3 kinds of annihilations due to internal time, the material elements, and the quality of one's work. Of the 9 creation, the first one is the creation of the Mahatattva, or the sum total of material ingredients wherein the modes interact due to the presence of the Supreme Lord. In the second, the false ego is generated in which the material ingredients, material knowledge, and material activities arise. The sins prescriptions are created in the third creation, and from these elements the elements are generated. The fourth creation is creation of knowledge and of working capacity. The fifth creation is that of the controlling deities by the integration of the mode of goodness, of which the mind is the sum total. The sixth creation is the ignorant darkness of the living entity by which the master acts as the fool. All the above the natural creation by the external energy of Lord. Now hear from me about the creation by Brahma, who is the increation of the mode of passion, and who is the matter of creation, has a brain like that of personality of Godhead. The seventh creation is that of the immovable entities, immovable entities, which are of 6 kinds: the fruit trees without flowers, trees and plants which exist until the fruit is ripe, creepers, pipe plants, creepers which have no support, and trees with flowers and fruits. All the immovable trees and plants seek their substantial upward. They are almost unconscious, but have feelings of pain within. They are manifested in a variegatedness. The eighth creation is that of the lower species of life, and there are also of different varieties, numbering 28. They are all extensively foolish and ignorant. They know they are desirables by smell, but unable to remember anything within the heart. Opposite Vidura of the lower animals, the cow, goat, buffalo, Krishna stag, hog, Gavanya animal, deer, lamb, and the camel all have cloven hooves. The horse mule as Gaura, Sarabha, Bijan, and wild cow all have only one hoof. Now you may hear from me about the animals who have 5 nails: the dog, jackal, chacal, tiger, fox, cat, rabbit, sajuru, lion, monkey, elephant, tortoise, alligator, gossapra, etc. All have 5 nails in their claws. They are known as panchanaks, or animals having 5 nails. The heron, vulture, crane, hawk, bhasa, bhaluka, peacock, swan, sarasa, carvaca, crow, owl, and others other birds. The creation of the human beings who are one of species only and whose stalks is tables is the belly is the ninth in the rotation in the human race. The mode of patience is very prominent. Humans are always busy in the midst of miserable life, but they think themselves happy in all respects. Oh God, oh good Vidura, these last three creations, and the creation of demigods, the tenth creation, are Vaikrita creations, which are different from the previously described Praktra natural creation. The appearance of the Kumaras both. The creation of the demigods is of 8 varieties: the demigods, the forefathers, the Ashers of demons, the Gandharvas and Apsaras or angels, the Yakshas and Rakshasas, the Siddhas, Karanas and Vidyaharas, the Bhutas, Priests and Pshikas, and the superhuman beings, celestial singers, etc. All are created by Brahma, the creator of the universe. Now I shall describe the descendants of the Manus, the creator. Brahma is the incarnation of the patient mode of the personality of Godhead, creates the universal affairs with unfailing desires in every millennium by the force of the Lord's energy. Chapter 11: Calculation of time from the atom. The material manifestations and ultimate particle which is indivisible and are not formed into a body is called the atom. It exists always as an invisible entity, even after the dissolution of all forms. The material body is but combination of such atoms, but it's misunderstood by the common man. Atoms are the ultimate state of the manifest universe. When they stay in their own forms without forming different bodies, they are called the unlimited oneness. There are certainly different bodies in physical forms, but the atoms themselves form the complete manifestation. One can estimate time by measuring the movement of the atomic combination of bodies. Time is the potency of the Almighty Personality of Godhead Hari, who controls all physical movement. Also, he is not visible to the physical world. Atomic time is measured according its covering a particular atomic space. The time which covers the unmanifest aggregate of atoms is called the great time. The division of gross time is calculated as follows: 2 atoms make 1 double atom, and 3 double atoms makes 1 hexatom. This hexatom is visible in the sunshine, which enters through the holes of a wisdom screen. One can clearly see that the hexatom goes up towards the sky. The time duration needed for the integration of the three trillions is called a Truti, and 100 Trutis make one Vedha. 3 Vedhas make one lava. The duration of time of 3 lavas is equal to 1 Nimisha. The combination of 3 Nimishas make one Kshana. 5 Kshanas combined together make one Kshatha, and 15 Kshathas make one Laghu. 15 lakhs make one Nadika, which is also called a Danda. 2 Dandas make one Muhurta, and 6 or 7 Dandas make 1/4 of a day or night according to human calculation. The measuring put for one Nadika or Danda can be prepared within a 6 pala weight, 14 wands, put of copper in which a hole is bored with a gold probable weighing 4 massa and measuring 4 fingers long. When the put is placed on water, the time before the water overflows in the pot is called 1 danda. It is calculated that the 3 or 4 praharas, which are also called yamas, in the day and 4 in the night of the human being. Similarly, 15 days and nights are a fortnight, and there are in 2 fortnights, white and black in a month. The aggregate of fortnights is 1 month, and that period is one complete day and night for the Pitta planets. 2 of such months comprise 1 season, and 6 months comprise 1 complete movement of the sun from south to north. 2 solar movements make 1 day and night of the demigods, and the combination of day and night is 1 complete calendar year for the human being. The human being has a duration of life of 100 years. Influation stars, planets, luminaries, and atoms all over the universe are rotating in their respective orbits under the direction of the Supreme, represented by internal color. There are 5 different names for the orbits of the Sun, Moon, stars, and luminaries in the firmament, and they each have their own Samvastara. O Vidura, all the sun invites all living entities with the unlimited heat and light. He diminishes the duration of life and living entities in order to realize them from their illusion of material attachment, and he enlarges the path of evolution to heavenly kingdom. He thus moves in the firmament with great velocity, and therefore everyone should offer him respect once every 5 years with all expressions of worship. Vidura said, I now understand the life duration of the residents of the Pitta planets and the heavenly planets, as well as that one of the human beings. Now kindly inform me of the duration of life of those greatly launched living entities who are beyond the range of a kalpa. O spiritually powerful one, you can understand the movement of internal time, which is the controlling form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because you are a self-realized person, you can see everything by the power of mystic vision. Maitreya said, O Vidura, the 4 millenniums are called the Satya, Treta, Dvapara, and Kali Yuga. The aggregated number of years of all these combined is equal to 12,000 years of the demigods. The duration of the Satya millennium equals 4,000 800 years of the years, and the demigods, the duration of the third millennium equals 3600 years of the demigods, and the duration of the Dvapara millennium equals
И глава 12 третьей
uh,
песни. Сотворение кумаров и других.
the duration of the Satya millennium equals 8 billion 80,000 years of the years, and the demigods in the duration 30 millennium is equal 3 billion 600 years of the demigods, and the duration of the Dwapara millennium equals 2 million 400 years, and that one of the millennium is that 1 million 2,000 years of the demigods. The transcendental periods before and after every millennium, which are a few hundred years, is aforementioned, are known as Yuga Sandhyas, was the conjunctions of two millenniums, according to the expert astronomers. In those periods, all kinds of religious activities are performed. O Vidura, in the Satya millennium, mankind properly and completely maintained the principles of religion, but in other millenniums, religion gradually decreased by one part, or as irreligion was proportionally admired. Outside of the three planetary systems, Svargam, Martya, and Patalam, therefore yogas multiplied by 1000 comprise one day one on the planet of Brahma. A similar period comprises the night of Brahma, in which the creator of the universe goes to sleep. After the end of Brahma's night, the creation of the three worlds begins again in the daytime of Brahma, and they continue to exist through the life duration of 14 consecutive manus, or phases of mankind. Each and every manu enjoys a life of a little more than 71 seeds of 4 millenniums. After dissolution of each and every manu, the next manu comes in order along with the descendants who rule over the different planets. By the 7 famous sages and demigods like Indra and their followers, such as the Gandharvas, all appear simultaneously with Manu. In the creation during Brahma's day, the three planetary systems Varga, Martya, and Patala revolve, and their inhabitants, including the lower animals, human beings, demigods, and Pitas, appear and disappear in terms of their fruitive activities. In each and every change of Manu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears by manifesting his internal potency in different incarnations as Manu and others. Thus, he maintains the universe by discovered power. At the end of the day, under the insignificant portion of the mode of darkness, the powerful manifestation of the universe merged in the darkness of night. By the influence of internal time, the innumerable living entities remain merged in the dissolution, and everything is silent. When the night of Brahma ensures, all the three worlds are out of sight, and the sun and the moon are without glare, just as in the due course of ordinary night. The division takes place due to the fire imitating from the mouth of Sankarsana, and thus great sages like Hrigu and other inhabitants of Maharaloka transport themselves to Janaloka, being distressed by the warmth of the blazing fire which rages through the three worlds below. At the beginning of the division, All the seas of overflow and hurricane hurricane winds blow very violently. These the waves of the seas become furious, and in no time at all the three worlds are full of water. The Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, lies down in the water on the seat of Ananta with his eyes closed, and the inhabitants of the Janaloka planets offer unto the Lord their glorious prayers with the folded hands. Thus the process of the excitation of the duration of life exists for every one of living beings, including Lord Brahma. One's life endures for only 100 years in terms of the times in different planets. The 100 years of Brahma's life are divided in two parts, the first half and the second half. The first half, one of the duration of Brahma's life, is already over, and the second half is now current. In the beginning of the first half of Brahma's life, there was a millennium called Brahma Kalpa, wherein Lord Brahma appeared. The birth of the Vedas was simulations with Brahma's birth. The millennium which followed the first Brahma millennium is known as the Padma Kalpa because in that millennium the universal lotus flower grew out of the navel reservoir of water of the personality of Godhead Hari. O descendants of Brahma, the first millennium in the second half of the life Brahma is also known as Varaha millennium because the personality of Godhead appeared in this millennium as the hawk incarnation. The duration of the two parts of Brahma's life, as above mentioned, is calculated to be equal to one nimesha, less than a second. For the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unchanging and unlimited, and is the cause of all causes of the universe. Internal time is certainly the controller of different dimensions, from that of the atom up to the superdivers of the duration of Brahma's life, but nevertheless it's controlled by the Supreme. Time can control only those who are the body conscious, even up to the Satyaloka or the other higher planes of the universe. This phenomenal material world is expanded to a diameter of 4 billion miles as a combination of 8 material elements transformed into 16 further categories within and without as follows. The layers of elements covering the universal are each 10 times thicker than the one before, and all the universe clustered together appear like atoms in a huge combination. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna is therefore said to be the original cause of all causes. Thus, the spiritual abode of Vishnu is eternal without doubt, and it is also the abode of Mahavishnu, the origin of all manifestations. Chapter 12, Creation of the Kumars and Others. Srimad said, O learned Vidura, so far I have explained to you the glories of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his further of Kala. Now you can hear from me about the creation of Brahma, the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. Brahma first created the nescient engagements like self-deception, the sins of this anger after frustration, the sins of false worship, and the illusory bodily conception of forgetfulness of one's real identity. Seeing such a misleading creation as a sinful task, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity, and therefore he purified himself by meditation of the personality of Godhead. Then he began another terms of creation. In the beginning, Brahma created four great sages named Sanaka, Sanada, Sanatana, and Sanatan Kumara. All of them were unwilling to adopt materialistic activities because they were highly elevated due to their semen flowing upward. Brahma spoke to his sons after generating them. My dear sons, he said, now generate progeny. But due to their being attached to Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they aimed at liberation and therefore they expressed their unwillingness. On the refusal of the sons to obey the order of their father, there was much anger generated in the mind of Brahma, which he tried to control and not express. Also, he tried to curb his anger. It came out from between his eyebrows, and a child mixed blue and red was immediately generated. After his birth, he began to cry, "O destiny maker, teacher of the universe, kindly designate of my name and place. Designate my name and place." The all-powerful Brahma, who was born from the lotus flower, pacified the boy with gentle words, accepting his request, and said, "Do not cry, I shall certainly do as you desire." Thereafter Brahma said, "O chief of the demigods, you shall be called by the name Rudra by all people because you have so anxiously cried. My dear boy, I have already selected the following places for your residence: the earth, the seas, the air of life, the sky, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, the sun, the moon, and the austerity." Lord Brahma said, "My dear boy Rudra, you have 11 other names: Manu, Mahinasa, Mahan, Shiva, Kava, Ugrareta, Bhava, Kala, Vamshadeva, and Tritavartam. O Rudra, you also have 11 wives, called the Rudranis, and they are also as follows: Dhi, Dhriti, Rasala, Uma, Nyut, Shapri, Ila, Ambika, Iravati, Svadana, and Diksha. My dear boy, you may now accept all the names and places designated for you and your different wives, and since you are now one of the masters of the living entities, you may increase the population on a large scale. The most powerful Rudra, whose bodily color was blue mixed with red, created many offspring exactly resembling him in fierce, strange, and furious nature. The sons and grandsons generated by Rudra were unlimited in number, and when they assembled together, they attempted to devour the entire universe. When Brahma, the father of the living entities, saw this, he became afraid of the situation. Brahma told Rudra, "O best among the demigods, there is no need for you to generate living entities of this nature. They have begun to devastate everything all sides with the fiery flames from their eyes, and they have even attacked me. My dear son, you had better situate yourself in a penitence, which is essentially for all living entities, and which will bring all benediction upon you. By penitence, Only shall you be able to create the universe as it was before. By penitence only can one even approach the personality of Godhead, who is within the heart of every living entity, and at the same time beyond the reach of all senses. Sri Maitreya said, thus Rudra, having been ordered by Brahma, circumambulated his father, the master of the Vedas, addressing him with words of assent. He entitled the forest to perform extra penitence. Brahma, who was empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thought of the generating living entities and begot 10 sons for the extinction of the generation. Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulatisya, Pulaha, Kratu, Bhrigu, Vaishvatha, Daksha, and the tenth son Narada was thus born. Narada was born from the deliberation of Brahma, which is the best part of the body. Is Vaishitha was born from his breathing, Daksha from a thumb, Bhrigu from his touch, and Kratu from his hand. Pulastya was generated from the ears, Angira from the mouth, Atri from the eyes, Marichi from the mind, and Pulaha from the navel of Brahma. Religion was manifested from the breast of Brahma, wherein is seated the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana, and irreligion appeared from his back, where horrible death takes place for the living entity. Lust and desire became manifested from the heart of Brahma, anger from between his earbows, greed from between his lips, the power of speaking from his mouth, the ocean from his penis, and low and abominable activities from his anus, the source of all sins. Sage Kardama, husband of the great Devahuti, was manifested from the shadow of Brahma. Thus all became manifested from either of the body of the mind of Brahma. O Vidura, we have heard that Brahma had a daughter named Vak, who was born from his body and who attracted his mind towards sex. Also, she was not sexually inclined towards him. Thus, finding their father so deluded in act of immortality, the sages headed by Marichi, all sons of Brahma, spoke as follows with great respect. O Father, this performance in which you are endeavoring to complicate yourself was never attempted by any other Brahma, nor by anyone else, no, but you are in previous kalpas, not will anyone dare to attempt in the future. You are the supreme being in the universe, so how is that you want to have sex with your daughter and cannot control your desire? Even thought you are the most powerful being. This act does not suit you because your character is followed for spiritual improvement by people in general. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, who, by his own effulgence, while situated in himself, has manifested his cosmos. May he also protect religion for all goodness. The father of all Prajapatis, Brahma, thus seeing all his Prajapati sons speaking in that way, became very much ashamed and at once gave up the body he had accepted. Later, the body appeared in the direction of the dangerous fog in darkness. Once upon a time, when Brahma was thinking of how to create the world, in the past millennium, the fourth Vedas, which contain all varieties of knowledge, became manifested from his four mouths. The four kinds of paraha
Верховная личность Бога, Джанатана,
paraphernalia for
это тот,
conducting the fire sacrifice became manifested. The performer, the chanter, the offer, the fire, and the action performed in terms of the supplementary Vedas. Also, there are four principles of religiosity: truth, austerity, mercy, and clearness. And the duties in the four social orders all became manifest.
уничтожающий все грехи.
Vidura said, O great sage, whose only wealth is penance, kindly explain to me how and within whose help Brahma established the Vedic knowledge which emanated from his mouth. Maitreya said, beginning from the front face of Brahma, gradually the four Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Adharva, became manifest. Thereafter, Vedic hymns, which had not been pronounced before, priestly rituals, the subject matter of the rikshas, recreation, and the transcendental activity were all established one and after another. He also created the medical science, military art, musical art, and actual science, all from the Vedas. They all emanated one after another, beginning from the front face. Then he created the fifth Veda, the Puranas, and the histories from all his mouths, since he could see all the past, present, and the future. All the different varieties of fire sacrifice, Sodasi, Yukta, Purushi, Ignostama, Aprotyama, Atrirata, Vajrapriya, and Gosava became manifested from the eastern mouth of Brahma. Education, charity, penance, and truth are said to be the four legs of religion, and to learn this there are four orders of life with different classifications of castes according to the vocation. Brahma created all this in systematic order. Then the third ceremony for the twice born was inquired as were the rules. Then threatened ceremony for the twice born was inaugurated, as were the rules to be followed for at least 1 year. After acceptance of the Vedas, rules for observing complete abstinence from sex life, vocation in terms of Vedic injunctions, various professional duties in household life, and the mention of maintaining a livelihood without anyone's cooperation by picking up rejected grains. The four divisions of retired life are the Vaikhanas, Valikhnais, Edamburas, and perhaps the four divisions of the Renaissance order of life are the Kutikats, Behawats, Hamas, and the Nishruktas. All these were manifested from Brahma. The science of logical argument, the Vedic goals of life, and also law and order moral codes are the celebrated hymns Bhin, Bhuvan, and Svah. All became manifested from the mouth of Brahma, and the Pravana Omkara was manifested from his heart. Thereafter, the art of literary expression, Yushnik, was generated from the hairs of the body of the elementary Prajapati. The principal Vedic hymn, Gayatri, was generated from the skin, Trispad, from the flesh, unstoop from the veins, and the jagarati from the bones of the Lord of the living entities. The art of writing verse pankti became manifested from the bone marrow, and that of brihati, another type of verse, was generated from the life breath of Lord of the living entities. Brahma's soul was manifested as a touch ilput, his body as to the vowels, his sins as the sibilant alphabet, his stretch as the intermediate alphabet, and his sessional activities as the 7 notes of music. Brahma is a personal representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their source of transcendental sound, and is therefore above the conception of manifested and unmanifested. Brahma is the complete form of the absolute truth, and they invested it with multi-phrase injustice. Thereafter, Brahma accepted another body in which sex life was not forbidden, and this he engaged himself in the matter of further creation. O son of the Kurus, when the Brahma saw that in spite of the presence of sage of great potency, there was no sufficient increase in population, he seriously began to consider how the population could be increased. Brahma thought to himself, "Alas, it is wonderful that in spite of my being secreted all over, there is still influence population throughout the universe. There is no other cause for the misfortune but destiny." While he was thus absorbed in contemplation and was observing the supernatural power, two other forms were generated from his body. They are still celebrated as the body of Brahma. The two nearly separated bodies united together in a sexual relationship. Out of them, one who had the male form became known as the Manu, named Swayambhuva, and the woman became known as Satarupa, the queen of the great soul Manu. Thereafter, by sex includence, there gradually increased the generations of population one after another. A son of Bharata, in due course of time, he, Manu, begot in his Sattvarupa 5 children, 2 sons, Priyavrata and Uttapada, and 3 daughters, Akuti, Devahuti, and Prashuti. The father Manu handed over his first daughter Akuti to the sage Ruchi, the middle daughter Devahuti to sage Kardama, and the youngest Prashuti to Daksha. From them all the world filled with population. Chapter 13. The appearance of Lord Varaha. Srila Shukadeva Goswami said, "O king, after hearing all these most virtuous topics from the sage Maitreya, Vidura inquired further on the topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with the desires to hear. Vidura said, O great sage, what did Swayambhuva, the dear son of Brahma, do after obeying his very loving wife? Of the virtuous, the original king of kings, Vidura said, O great sage, what does Swayambhuva, the dear son of Brahma, do after obeying his very loving wife? O best of the virtues, the original king of kings, Manu, was a great devotee of the personality of Godhead Hari, and thus it is worth hearing his sample character and activities. Please describe them. I am very eager to. Persons who hear from a spiritual master with great labor and for a long time must hear from the mouth of pure devotees about the character and the activities of pure devotees. Pure devotees always think within their hearts of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, who awards his devotees liberation. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, was pleased to place his lotus feet on the lap of Vidura because Vidura was very meek and gentle. The sage Maitreya was very pleased with Vidura's words, and being influenced by his spirit, he attempted to speak. The sage Maitreya said to Vidura, after his appearance, Manu, the father of Mankit, along with his wife, thus addressed the revisor of Vedic wisdom, Brahma, with obeisances and folded hands. You are the father of living entities and the source of their substance, because they are all born of you. Please order us how we may be able to render the service unto you. O worshipful one, please give us your direction for the existence of duty within our working capacity so that we can follow it for fame in this life and progress in next. Lord Brahma said, my dear son, O Lord of the world, I am very pleased within you. With you, and I desire all blessings for both you and your wife. You have without reservation surrendered yourself unto me with your heart for my instructions. O hero, your example is quite befitting a son in a relationship with his father. This sort of adoration for the superior is required. One who is beyond the limit of envy and who is sane accepts the order of his father with great delight and excited is to his full capacity. Since you my very obedient son, I ask you to beget children qualified like yourself in warmth of your wife. Rule the world in presence of the principles of devotion service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus worship the Lord the performance of yanja. O King, if you can give proper protection to the living beings in the material world, that it will be the best service for me. When the Supreme Lord sees you to be a good protector of the conditioned souls, certainly the Master of the Saints will be very pleased with you. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, Lord Krishna, is the former to accept all the results of sacrifice. If he is not satisfied, there is no one's labor for advancement is futile. He is the ultimate self, and therefore one who does not satisfy him certainly neglects his own interests. Sri Manu said, O all-powerful Lord, O killer of all sins, I shall abide by your order. Now, please let me know my place and that of that living entity born of me. O Master of the demigod, please attempt to leave the earth which is merged in the great water, because it is the dwelling place for all living entities. It can be done by your endeavor and the mercy of the Lord. Sri Maitreya said, thus, seeing the earth merged in the water, Brahma gave his attention for a long time to how it could be lifted. Brahma thought, while I have been engaged in the process of creation, the earth has been invented by a Dulak and has gone down into the depths of the ocean. What can we do who are engaged of this matter creation? It's the best to let ultimately Lord direction us. O signless Vidura, all of my sudden, while Brahma was engaged in thinking, a small form of a boar came out of his nostril. The measurement of the creature was not more than the apportionment of the sun. A discendant of or descendant of Brahma. While Brahma was observing him, that Bora became situated in the sky in a wonderful manifestation as a gigantic, as a great elephant. Struck with wonder and observing the wonderful Bora like from in the sky, Brahma within the great Brahmanas like Marichi the Kumaras and Manu began to argue in various ways. In this, some extraordinary insight came in the presence of a boar. It's very wonderful that he has come from my nose. First of all, this boar was seen no bigger than the tip of the thumb, and within a moment he was as large as a stone. My mind is perturbed, and he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is he the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu? While Brahma was deliberating with his sons of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu wrote it tumultuously like a great mountain. The opened Supreme Personality of Godhead invited Brahma and the other highly elevated Brahmins by again roaring with his uncommon voice, which echoed in all directions. Roaring with him uncommon voice, which ancient in all directions. When the great sages and thinkers who are the residents of the Loka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka heard the tremulous voice of Lord Bora, which was the all exception sound of the all-merciful Lord, that they chanted exceptions chants from the three Vedas. Playing like an elephant, he entered into the water after roaring again in reply to Vedic prayers by the great devotees. The Lord is the object of the Vedic prayers, and thus he understood that the devotees' prayers were meant for him. Before entering the water to the source, the Earth Lord Boar flew in the sky, slanting his tail, his hard hairs quivering. His very glance was luminous, and he scattered the clouds in the sky with hooves and his glittering white tusks. He was personally the Supreme Personality of Vishnu, and he was therefore transcendental. Yet because he had the body of a hog, he searched after the earth by smell. His tusks were fearful, and he glanced over the devoted Brahmanas, engaged in offering prayers. Thus he entered the water. Divining into the water like a giant mountain, Lord Boar divided the middle of the ocean, and two high waves appeared as arms of the ocean, which cried loudly as if praying to the Lord, "O Lord, all the sacrifices, please do not cut me in two, kindly give me protection." Lord Boar penetrated the water with his hooves, which were like sharp arrows, and found the limits of the ocean also, which was unlimited. He saw the earth, the resisting place for all living beings, lying as it was in the beginnings of the creation, and the personality lifted. Lord Boar very easily took the earth of his trust and got it out of the water. Thus he appeared very splendid. Then, his anger glowing like the Sudarshana wheel, he immediately killed the demons Hiranyaksha, also that tried to feed with the Lord. Thereupon the Lord Boar killed the demon within the water, just as a lion kills an elephant. The cheeks and the tongue of the Lord became smeared with the blood of the demon, just as an elephant becomes reddish from digging in purple earth. Then the Lord, playing like an elephant, subtended the earth on the edge of his carved white tusks. He assumed a bluish complexion like that of Tamala tree, and this the sages headed by Brahma could understand him to be the supreme personality of Godhead and offered respectful obeisances up to Lord. All the sages utired all the sages utired with a great respect or unconquerable in joy of all sacrifices, all glories, and all victories unto you. You are moving in your form of the personified Vedas, and in the hair of whole your body the oceans are some bridged. For certain reason to uplift the earth, you have now assumed the form of a boar. O Lord, your form is worshipable by performances of sacrifice, but those who are simply miscreants are unable to see it, and the Vedic hymns, Gayatri, and the others are in the touch of your skin. In your bodily hairs is there a kusha grass, in your eyes is there a clarified butter, and in your 4 legs there are 4 kinds of furtive activity. O Lord, your tongue is a plate of sacrifice. Your nostril is another plate of sacrifice. In your belly is a eating plate of sacrifice, and another plate of sacrifice is the holes of your ears. In your mouth there is Brahma plate of sacrifice. Your throat is a plate of the sacrifice known as the soma, and whatever you chew is known as agnihotra. Moreover, O Lord, the repetition of your appearances is a desire for all kinds of imitation. Your neck is the place of the 3 desires, and your tusks are the result of initiation and the end of all desires. Your tongue is the prior activities of initiation. Your head is the fire without sacrifice, as well as the fire of worship, and your living forces are aggregated of all desires. O Lord, your semen is the sacrifice called Soma Yajna. Your growth is the ritualistic performances of the morning. Your skin and touch sensations are the 7 elements of the Agnisthoma sacrifice. Your bodily joints and as symbols of various other sacrifices performed in 12 days. Therefore, the object of all sacrifice is called Soma and Asoma, and you are bound by yajnas only. O Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and are worshipable by universal prayers, Vedic hymns, and sacrificial ingredients. We offer our obeisances unto you. You can be realized by the pure mind, freed from all visible and invisible material contamination. We offer our respectful obeisances to you as the supreme spiritual master of knowledge in devotional service. All lifter of the earth the earth with the mountain, the earth with its mountains, which you have lifted with your tusks, is situated as beautifully as a lotus flower with leaves sustained by an infrared elephant just coming out of the water. O Lord, as the peaks of the great mountains become beautiful when decorated with clouds, your transcendental body has become beautiful because you are lifting the earth on the edge of your task. O Lord, for the residential purpose for all inhabitants, both moving and non-moving, this earth is your wife, and you are the Supreme Father. We offer you respectful obeisances unto you, along with Mother Earth, in whom you have invested your own potency, just as an expert sacrificer puts the fire in the Arani wood. Who else but you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could deliver the earth from within the water? It is not very wonderful for you, however, because you acted most wonderfully in the creation of the universe. By your energy, you have created a wonderful cosmic manifestation. O Supreme Lord, undoubtedly, we are inhabitants of the most pious planet, the Yana, Tapas and Satya Lokas. But still we have been purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulder hairs, by the shaking of your body. O Lord, there is no limit to your wonderful activities. Anyone who desires to know the limit of your activities is certainly non-essential. Everyone in this world is contention by these powerful mystic potencies. Please bestow your causeless mercy upon these conditioned souls. The sage Maitreya said, the Lord being this worshipped by all the great sages and transcendentalists, touched the earth with his hooves and placed it on the water. In this manner, the personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the maintainer of all living entities, raised the earth from within the water, and having placed it afloat on the water, he returned to his own abode. If one hears and describes in a devotional service attitude these Auception's narration of Lord Boa, which is worthy of description, the Lord who is within the heart of everyone is very pleased. Nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone. By transcendental achievement, one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages its transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfectional stage by the Lord Himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. Who other than one who not human being can exist in the world and not be interested in unlimited goal of life? Who can refuse the nectar of narration about the personality of Godhead's activities, which by itself can deliver one from all material pangs? Chapter 14. Pregnancy of deity in the evening. Pregnancy. Shukadeva Goswami said, after hearing from the great sage Maitreya about the Lord's incarnation as Varaha Vidura, who had taken a vow, begged him with folded hands to please narrate further transcendental activities of the Lord, since Vidura did not yet feel satisfied. Sri Vidura said, O chief amongst the greatest sages, I have heard by this discreet succession that Hiranyaksha, the original demon, was slain by the same form of the sacrifices, the personality of Godhead Lord Boa. What was the reason of the Brahmana for the fight between the demon king and Lord Boa while the Lord was lifting the earth as his pastime? My mind has become very inquisitive, and therefore I am not satisfied with hearing the narration of the Lord's appearance. Please, therefore, speak more and more to a devotee who is faithful. The great sage Maitreya said, O Vairava, the inquiry made by you is just benefiting a devotee because it concerns the incarnation of the personality of Godhead. He is the source of liberation from the chain of birth and death from all those who are otherwise destined to die. By hearing these topics from the sage Narada, the son of King Uttapanda, Dhruva was enlightened, reading the personality of Godhead, and he accidents to both of the Lord, placing his feet over the head of death. The history of the fight between the Lord as a boar and the demon Hiranyaksha was heard by me in a year long ago, as it was described by the foremost of the demigods, Brahma, when he was questioned by the other demigods. Diti, daughter of Daksha, being afflicted with the sex desire, begat her husband Kashyapa, the son of Marichi, to have intercourse with her in the evening in order to beget a child. The sun was setting and the sage was sitting in trance after offering oblations to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, whose tongue is a sacrifice of fire. In that place, the beautiful deity expressed her desire, "O Lord One, Cupid is taking his arrows and distressing me forcibly as a mad elephant troubles a banana tree. Therefore, you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I desire to have sons, and I am much distracted by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. By performing this act, you will become happy. A woman is honored in the world by the benediction of her husband, and a husband like you will become famous by having children, because you are meant for expansions of living entities. In days long ago, our father, the most opulent Daksha, who was affectionate to his daughters, asked each of us separately whom they would prefer to select as your husband. Our well-wishing father Daksha, after knowing our intentions, handed over 13 of his daughters unto you, and since that we have all been faithful. O lotus-eyed one, kindly bless my fulfilling my desire. When someone in distress approaches a great person, his pleas should never go in vain. O hero Vidura, Diti, beginning thus afflicted by the contamination of lust, and therefore poor and talkative, was pacified by the son of Marichi in suitable words. O afflicted one, I shall forthwith glaive whatever desire is dear to you. For who else but you is the source of the three perfection of liberation. As one can cross over the ocean with Satan's vessels, can cross the dangerous situation of the material ocean by living wife with a wife. A respectful one, a wife is so helpful that she is called the better half of man's body because of her sharing in all acceptance activities. A man can move without an anxiety and trusting all responsibilities to his wife. As a fort commander very easily conquers invading plunderers by taking shelter of a wife, one can conquer the sins which are unquenchable in the other social orders. O Queen of the home, we are not able to act like you, nor could we repay you for what you have done, even of worked for our entire life, or even after death to repair, as you are not possible even for those who are admirers of personal qualities. Even so, it is not possible to repair you. I shall satisfy your sex desire immediately for the sake of begetting children. But you must wait for only a few seconds so that others may not reproach me. This particular time is most inauspicious because all this time is the horrible looking ghost and the constant complaints of the Lord, the ghosts are visible. Lord Shiva, the king of the ghosts, sitting on the back of his bull carrier, travels at the time accompanied by ghosts who follow him for their welfare. Lord Shiva's body is reddish and he is unstained, but he is covered with ashes. His hair is dusty from the virgin wine of the burning crematorium. He is the younger brother.
Цветами лотоса, браслеты на их ногах позвякивают при ходьбе. Иногда, чтобы
He is the youngest brother of your husband, and he sees with his 3 eyes. Lord Shiva regrets no one as his relative, yet there is no one who is not connected with him. He does not regard anyone as very favorable or abominable. We respectfully worship the remnants of the foodstuff, and we vow to accept what is rejected by him. Also, no one in the material world is equal to our greater than Lord Shiva, and also his unimpeachable character is followed by great souls to dismantle the mass of Neskins. He nevertheless remains as if a devil to give salvation to all devotees of the Lord. Unfortunately, foolish
придается
uh,
разговору о материальном,
foolish person, not knowing that he is engaged in his own self, laugh at him. Such foolish person engaged in maintaining the body which is eatable by dogs, with dresses, ornaments, garlands, and ointments. Demigods like Brahma also follow the religious rituals observed by him. He is the controller of the material energy which causes the creation of the material world. He is great, and therefore his devilish characteristic are simply emanation. Maitreya said, Diti was thus informed by her husband, but she was pressed by Cupid for a sexual satisfaction. She caught hold of the clothing of the great Brahma sage, just like a shameless public prostitute. Understanding his wife's purpose, he was obliged to perform the forbidden act, and thus, after offering his obeisances unto worshipable fate, he lay within her in the scheduled place. Thereafter, the Brahmana took his bath in the water and controlled his speech by practicing trance, meditating on the internal effulgence, and chanting the holy Gayatri hymns within his mouth. O son of the Bharata family Diti, after this went nearly to her husband, her face lowered because of her fatal action. He spoke as follows. The beautiful Diti said, My dear Brahmana, kindly see that my eyebrow is not killed by Lord Shiva, the Lord of all living entities, because of the great offenses I have committed against him. Let me offer my obeisances unto the angry Lord Shiva, who is simultaneously the very ferocious great demigod and the fulfiller of the material desires. He is occasional and forgiving, but his anger can immediately move him to chaste. Let him to be pleased with us, since he is no my brother-in-law, the husband of my sister Sati. He is also the worshipable Lord of all women. He is a personality of all opulence and can show mercy toward women who are excused even by uncleaved hunters. Maitreya said the great sage Kashyapa thus addressed his wife, who was trembling because of fear that the husband was offended. She understood that he had been disabled from his daily duties of offering evening prayers, yet she desired the welfare of her children in the world. The Lord Kashyapa said, because of your minds being polluted, because of defilement of particular time, because of your negligence of my direction, and because of your being apathic to the demigods, everything was in a composure. O how, O Mighty One, you will have to contemplate sons born of your condemned womb. Unlucky woman, they will cause constant lamentation to all the three worlds. They will kill poor, faulty, living entities, torture women, and ingratitude the great souls. At that time, the Lord of the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the well-wisher of all living entities, will descend all and kill them, just as Indra smashes the mountains with his thunderbolt. Diti said, "It is very good that my sons will be magnanimously killed by the arms of the personality of Godhead with the Sudarshana weapon. O my husband, may they never be killed by the words of the Brahman's devotees." A person who is condemned by a Brahman or always fearful to other living entities is not favored either by those who are already in hell or by those in all species in which he is born. The Lord Kashyapa said, because of your elimination, penitency, and proper deliberation, and also because of your unflinching faith is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you, the brothers, the Lord Shiva, and me, one of the sons, Prahlada, of your son, Hiranyakashipu, will be an approved devotee of the Lord, and his fame will be broadcast equally with that of the personality Godhead. In order to follow in his footsteps, saintly person will try to emulate his character by practicing freedom from animosity, just as the preferring process rectify gold of inferior quality. Everyone will be pleased with him because the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller of the universe, is always satisfied with a devotee who doesn't wish for anything beyond him. That topmost devotee of the Lord will have explained the intelligence and expand influence, and will be the greatest of the great souls. Due to mature devotional service, he will certainly be situated in transcendental ecstasy and will enter the spiritual sky after quitting the material world. He will be virtuously qualified, deserver of all good qualities. He will be jolly and happy in others' happiness, distressed in others' distress, and we will have no enemies. He will be able to destroy of the laminations of all the universe, like the pleasant moon after the summer sun. Your granddom will be able to see inside and outside the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose wife is the beautiful goddess of Fortuna. The Lord can assume the form desired by the devotee, and his face is always beautifully decorated with earrings. The sage Maitreya said, hearing that her grandson would be a great devotee and that her sons would be killed by Krishna, Diti was highly placed in mind. Chapter 15, Description of the Kingdom of God. Sri Maitreya said, "My dear Vidura, Diti, the wife of the sage Kashyapa, could understand that the sons within her womb would be a cause of disturbing the demigods. As such, she constantly bore the powerful semen of Kashyapa Muni, which was meant to give trouble to others for 100 years. By the force of the pregnancy of deity, the light of the sun and moon was imparted in all planets, and the demigods of various planets began disturbed by by that force. As the creator of the universe, Brahma, what is the explanations of darkness in all directions? The fortunate demigod said, O great one, just see this darkness which you know very well, and which is causing us anxieties. Because the influence of time cannot touch you, there is nothing unmanifested before you. All what after O God of demigod, sustainer of the universe, head jewel of all demigods in other planets, you know the intentions of all living entities in both the spiritual and material worlds, all regional source of strange scientific knowledge, all obeisances unto you. You have accepted the different mode of patience from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. With the help of external energy, you are born of the unmanifested source, all obeisances to you. O Lord, all these planets exist within yourself, and all the living entities are generated from you. Therefore, you are cause of the universe, and anyone meditates upon you without devotion attains devotional service. There is no defeat in this material world for a person who controls the mind and senses by controlling the breathing process, and who are therefore experienced materialistic. This is because by such perfection in yoga, they have attained your mercy. All the living entities within the universe are conducted by the Vedic direction, as a bull is directed by the rope attached to its nose. No one can violate the rules laid down in the Vedic literature. To the chief person who was contributed the Vedas, we offer our respect. The demigods pray to Brahma, please look upon the mercifully, for we have fallen into miserable condition. Because of darkness, all your work has been suspended. As fuel overloads a fire, so the embryo created by the seminence of Kashyapa in the womb of deity has caused complete darkness throughout the universe. Srimad said, thus Lord Brahma, who is understood by transcendental vibration, tried to satisfy the demigods, being pleased with their words of prayer. Lord Brahma said, my four sons, Sanakana, Sanatana, Sanadana, and Sanatana Kumara, who were born from my mind, are your predictions. Sometimes they travel throughout the material and the spiritual skies without any definite desire. After thus traveling all over the universe, they also entered into the spiritual sky, for they were freed from all material contamination. In the spiritual skies there are spiritual planes known as Vaikunthas, which are the residence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His pure devotees, and are worshipped by the residents of all material planets. In the Vaikuntha planes, all the residents are similar in form to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They all engage in devotion and service to the Lord without desires for the sense gratification. In the Vaikuntha planet is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original person and who can be understood through the Vedic literature. He is full of the unculminated mode of goodness, with no place for passion or ignorance. He contributes the religious progress for the devotees. In those Vaikuntha planets there are many forests which are very acropolis. In those forests and trees are desired trees, and in all seasons they are filled with flowers and fruits, because everything in the Vaikuntha planets is spiritual and personal. In Vaikuntha planets the inhabitants fly in their airplanes, accompanied by their wives and consorts, and internally think of the character and activities of the Lord, which are always devoid of all inauspicious qualities. While singing the glories of the Lord, they dried even the presence of the blooming Madavi flowers, which are fragrant and laden with honey. When the king of beasts humans is a high-pitched singing the glories of the Lord, there is a temporary lull in the noise, and the uh, or pigeon, the cuckoo, the crane, the carvaca, the swan, the purple, the parrot, the partridge, and the peacock. Such transcendental birds stop their own singing simply to hear the glories of the Lord. Although flowering plants like the mandara, kunda, kurabaka, ultapala, kampaka, arna, punaga, nagakshera, bakula, lilu, and parijata are full of transcendental fragrance, they are still conscious of the austerities performed by Tulsi, for Tulsi is given special preference by the Lord, who garlands himself as Tulsi leaves.
Глава 16. Третьей песни Шримад Бхагаватам.
The inhabitants of Vaikuntha travel in their airplanes made of lapis lazuli, emerald, and gold, also crowned by their contours, who have large hips and beautiful smiling faces. They can be stimulated to passion by their mirth and beautiful charms. The ladies in the Vaikuntha planets are so beautiful as the goddess of Fortuna herself. Such transcendental beating ladies, their hands playing with lotus, and their leg bangles tinkling are sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls, which are bedecked at intervals with golden borders in order to receive the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The goddess of Fortune worships the Lord in their own gardens by offering tulsi leaves on the coral-paved banks of the transcendental reservoirs of water. While offering worship to the Lord, they can see on the water the reflection of their beautiful faces with raised noses, and it appears that they have become more beautiful because of Lord's kissing their faces. It is very much regrettable that unfortunately people do not discuss the description of the Vaikuntha plains, but engage in topics which are unworthy to hear and which bewilder one's intelligence. Those who give up the topics of the Vaikuntha and take talk to the material world are thrown into the darkest region of the ignorance. Lord Brahma said, "My dear demigods, the human form of life is of such importance that we all also desire to have such life, for in the human form one can attain perfect religious truth and knowledge. If one in this human form is life don't understand, if one in this human form of life does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his abode, it is to be understood that he is very much affected by the influence of external nature. Persons whose bodily features change in ecstasy and who breathe heavily and perspire due to hearing the glories of the Lord are permitted to the kingdom of God. Even so, they not care for meditation and other austerities. The kingdom of God above the material universes, and it is desired by Brahma and other demigods. Thus the great sages Sanakana, Sanatana, Sanadana, and Sanatana Kumara, upon reaching the above mentioned Vaikuntha in the spiritual way by dint of their mystic yoga performance, perceived unprecedented happiness. They found that their spiritual sky was illuminated by highly decorated aeroplanes piloted by the best devotees of Vaikuntha, and was promoted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After passing through the sixth entrance of Vaikuntha Puri, the Lord residents without feeling astonishment at all this decoration they saw at the seventh gate. Two shining beings of the same age, armed with maces, adorned with most valuable jewelry, earrings, diamonds, helmets, garments, etc. The two doormen were garlanded with fresh flowers, which attracted intoxicated bees, and which were placed around their necks and between their four blue arms. For their arched earbuds, disconnected nostrils, and reddish eyes, they appeared somewhat agitated. The great sages, headed by Sanakana, had opened doors everywhere. They had no idea of ours and theirs. With open minds, they entered the seventh door out of their own will, just as they had passed through the six other doors, which were made of gold and diamonds. Therefore, boy sages, who had nothing to cover their bodies but their atmosphere, looked only 5 years old, even thought they were the oldest of all living creatures, and had realized the truth of his self. But when the porters, who happened to possess a disposition quite unpalatable to the Lord, saw the sages, they blacked their way with their staffs, despising their glories. Also, the sages did not deserve such treatment at their hands. When the Kumaras, also by far the fittest person, were thus forbidden entrance by the two chief doorkeepers of Srihari, while other devotees looked on, their eyes suddenly turned red because of due to their great ignorance. To see their most beloved master Srihari, the personality of Godhead. The sages said, who are these two persons who have developed such a discordant mentally, even thought they are posted in the service of the Lord in the highest position, and are expected to have developed the same qualities as the Lord? How are these two persons living in Vaikuntha? Where is the possibility of an enemy's coming into this kingdom of God? The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no enemy. Who could be envious of him? Probably these two persons are impostors, therefore they suspect others to be like themselves. In the Vaikuntha world, there is complete harmony between the residents and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, there is complete harmony within the space between the big and the small keys. Why then is there a seed of fear in this field of harmony? These two persons are dressed like inhabitants of Vaikuntha, but where form can their disharmony come into existence? Therefore, let us consider how these two contemned persons should be punished. The punishment should be apt, for thus benefit can eventually be bestowed upon them. Since they find vitally in this existence of Vaikuntha life, they are contained and should be removed from this place to the material world, where the living entities have three kinds of enemies. When the doormen of Vaikuntha Loka, who were certainly devotees of the Lord, found that they were going to be cursed by the Brahmanas, they at once became very much afraid and fell down at the feet of the Brahmans in great anxiety. For a Brahmana's curse cannot be contracted by any kind of weapon. After being cursed by the sages, the Roman said, "It is quite apt that you have punished us for neglecting to respect sages like you, but we pray that due to your compassion at your repentance, the illusion of forgetting the Supreme Personality of Godhead will not come upon us. We go progressively downward. At that very moment, the Lord, who is called Padmanabha because of his lotus grown from his navel, and who is the delight of the righteous, learns about the insult offered by his own servants. Accompanied by his spouse, the goddess of fortune, he went to the spot of this very feat sought by recluse and great sages. The sages headed by Sanaka Rishi saw that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who was formerly visible only within their hearts in ecstatic trance, had now actually become visible to their eyes. As he came forward, accompanied by his own associates, bearing all paraphernalia such as an umbrella and a camera fan, and camphor fan, white bunches of hair moved very gently. Like two swans, and due to their favorable breeze, the previous garlanding and the umbrella also moved like drops of nectar falling from the white full moon or ice melting due to a gust of wind. The Lord is a receiver of all pleasure. He accepts presence is meant for everyone benediction, and his affection, smiling and glazing, touch the core of the heart. The Lord's beautiful bloodly color is blackish, and his broad chest is the resting the place of the goddess of fortune, who glorifies who glorious the entire spiritual world, the summit of the heavenly planet. Thus it appeared that the Lord was personally spreading the beauty and good fortune of the spiritual world. He was adorned with a girdle that shone brightly on the yellow clothes covering his large hips, and he wore a garland of fresh flowers which was distinguished by human bees. His lovely wrists were graced with bracelets, and he rested of his hand on the shoulder of Garuda. His career and twirled a lotus another hand. His countenance was distinguished by checks that enhanced by the beauty of his alligator-shaped pendants, which outshone lightning. His nose was prominent, and his head was covered with a gem-studded crown. A charming necklace hung between his stout arms, and his neck was adorned with the gem known by the name Kaustubha. The exquisite beauty of Narayana, being many times magnificent by the intelligence of his devotee, was so attractive that, if defeated, the pride of the goddess of fortune in being the most beautiful. My dear demigod, the Lord who thus manifested himself is worshipable by Lord Shiva and by all of you. The sages regarded him with unstated eyes and joyously bowed their heads at his lotus feet. When this breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves from the choice tooth of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead entered the nostrils of those sages. There experienced a change both in body and in mind. Even so, they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding. The Lord's beautiful face appeared to them like the inside of a blue lotus, and the Lord's smile appeared to be a blossoming jasmine flower. After seeing the face of the Lord, the sages were fully satisfied, and when they wanted to see him further, they looked upon the nails of his lotus feet, which resembled rubies. The, they viewed the Lord's transcendental body again and again, and so they finally achieved meditation of the Lord's personal future. In this form of the Lord, which is maintained upon the followers of the yoga process, and it is this pleasing of the yoga is meditation. It is not imaginary but factual, as proved by great yogas. The Lord is filled in 8 kinds of achievement, but for others these achievements are not possible in full perfection. The Kumaras said, "Our dear Lord, you are not many-faced to rascals, even thought you are seated within the heart of everyone. But as far as we are concerned, we see you face to face. Also, you are unlimited. The statements we have heard about you from our fathers Brahma through the earth have now been actually realized by your kind appearance. We know that you are the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, who manifests that his transcendental form is uncommented mode, uncommented mode of pure goodness. This transcendental eternal form of your personality can be understood only by your mercy. Through unflinching devotional service by great sages whose hearts have been purified in this devotional way. Persons who are very expert, at most intelligent in understanding things as they are engaged in hearing narrations of the auspicious activities and pastimes of the Lord, which are worth chanting and worth hearing. Such persons do not care even for the highest material benediction, namely liberation, to say nothing of other less important benediction like the material happiness of the heavenly kingdom. O Lord, we pray that you let us be born in any hellish condition of life, just as long as your heart and mind are always engaged in the service of your lotus feet. In your words are made beautiful by speaking of your activities, just as the tulsi leaves are beatified when offered unto your lotus feet, and as long as your ears are always filled with the chanting of your transcendental qualities. O Lord, we therefore offer respectful obeisances unto your eternal form as the personality of Godhead, which you have so kindly manifested before us. Your supreme internal form can be seen by unfortunately less intelligent persons, but we are so much satisfied in our mind and vision to see it. Chapter 16. The 2 doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jaya and Vijaya, cursed by the sages. Lord Brahma said, after thus congratulating the sages for their nice word, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose abode in the kingdom of God, spoke as follows. The Personality of Godhead said, "These attendants of mine, Jaya and Vijaya by name, have committed a great offense against you because of ignoring me. O great sages, I approve of punishments that you which are O great sages, I approve of the punishments that you who are devoted to me have meted out to them. To me, the Brahmana is the highest and the most beloved personality displayed by me because the Druman are my servitors. servitors. I take this to be an offense by myself. Therefore, I seek your forgiveness for the incident that has arisen. A wrong act committed by servant leads people in general to blame his master, and thus spot of white lep- leprosy of any part of the body pollutes of all the skin. Anyone in the entire world, even down the Kandala, who lives by cooking and eating the Chandala, who lives by cooking and eating the flesh of the dog, is immediately purified if he takes bath in healing through the ear, the glorification of my name, etc. Now you have realized me without doubt. And therefore I will not hesitate to lop of my own arm. Its conduct is founded hostile to you. The Lord condemned it because I am the servitor of my devotees. My lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin, and I have acquired such a dispositions that the goodness of fortune uh, does not leave me. Even so, I have no attachment for her. While others praise for her beauty and observe sacred vows to secure from her even a slight favor, I don't enjoy the oblations offered by the sacrifice in the sacrificial fire, which is one of my own mouth, with the same relish as I do the delicacies overflowing with ghee, which are offered to the mouth of the Brahmanas who have decided to me the result of their activities and who are ever satisfied with my prasadam. I am the master of my unbrowsed internal energy in the water. I watched water sanctified the three worlds along with Lord Shiva, who bears on his head. If I can take the dust of feet of the Vaishnava of my head, who will refuse to do the same? The Brahmanas, the cows, and the defenseless creatures are my own body. Those who factually of judgment has been impressed by their own sin look upon this as distinct from me. They are just like furious serpents. They are angrily torn apart the bills of the virtually like messengers of Yamaraja and the superintendent of sinful person. On the other hand, they captive my heart, who are glended in hurt and who their lotus faces enlightened in, enlightened by nectarian smiles, respect the Brahmanas, even though the Brahmanas utter harsh words. They look upon the Brahmanas as my own self and pacify them by praising them in loving words, even as the sun would appease an angry father, or as I am pacifying you. This servant of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master. I shall therefore deem it as a favor down to me if you are ordered that also repairing the fruit of their transgression. The many return to my presence soon, and the time of their exile from my abode may expire before long. Brahma continued. Even so, the sages had been beaten by the sprint of anger. Their souls were not satisfied with hearing the Lord's lovely and illumination speech, which was like a series of Vedic hymns.
своего высокомерия.
The Lord's
Поверженный на
excellent
плебране
speech was
и
difficult
окруженный
to
собаками,
compress
Каин
because
снился
of the
вечным сном. Господь
momentous
приходит во вселенную в образе Варахи
import on its most
и других
profound
своих воплощениях
significance.
только для
The
того, чтобы
sages heard
уничтожить таких
it with
злодеев, как
wide
Каин,
open
и
ears
явить
and
свою
pondered
милость
it as
праведникам.
well, but also hearing
Конец
they
17
could not
глава.
understand what he intended to do.
Глава 18, третья песня.
The four Brahmana
Молитва Господа
sages were
верные,
nevertheless
тем
extremely
хранявшие.
delighted to
Майтрей продолжал:
behold
«Не
him, and
исполненный
they
гордыни
experienced
и
a
тщеславия
throbbing throughout
дайте,
their
не
bodies.
обратив
They
на
then
слова Вару
spoke
никакого
as follows:
внимания.
the four
Видура,
lords who had
узнав о карах,
revelated the
о месте
multi-glories of
пребывания
the
Верховной
Supreme
Личности
Personality
Бога,
through
он
his
бросился
internal
в
potency,
глазную пещеру.
Yoga Maya.
Там он
The
увидел
sages said, O Supreme
всемогущего
Personality of
Господа,
Godhead,
личность Бога,
we are
который
unable to know what you are
воплотился в образе
united
ветря и
for us to
поднял
do,
землю
for
греха
even
и
thought
вела в
you
своих
are
могучих руках. Под взглядом
Supreme
его
Ruler,
красноватый
ruler
глаз,
of all.
блеск
You speak in
великолепия
our favor
тираньявший,
as if we
как
had
пурпурин.
done something good for you.
Ты,
O Lord,
земнодробная
you
тварь,
are the supreme
захохотал демон,
director of the
обращаясь к
Brahminical
Господу.
culture. You
Демон
considering the
произнес:
Brahmins to
«Слушай же
be
меня,
in the
о
highest
высший
position is your
богослов,
example
имевший
for
образ
teaching
ветря.
others. Actually, you are the
Заботиться о
supreme
земле
worshipable
поручено
deity,
нам,
not only
обитателям
for the
предыдущих планет,
gods,
и
but
тебе
the
не
Brahmins
удастся
also.
похитить
You
ее
are
у меня на
the
глазах
source of
и
the
понести
internal
за это
occupation of a
наказание.
living entities,
Негодяй,
and
наши
by your
недруги взрастили тебя,
magnification of a
нам на
personalities
могиле,
of Godhead,
и
you
ты,
have also protected
оставаясь
religion.
безумным,
You are the
уже
supreme
уничтожил
objective
немало
of the
демонов.
religious
О,
principle,
глупец,
and your
секретное
honor opinion, yeah,
могущество в
you are
колдовских трюках.
inexecutable
Сегодня я
and
положу этому
unchangeable
корню и тебя
internally.
на радость
Mystic
всем
and
моим
transcendental
сородичам.
by the mercy of the
Демон
Lord,
продолжал:
cross
когда
beyond
брошенная
naskins by
тобой
crazing the
палица
material desires.
разрушит
It's
твою
not
голову,
possible,
и
therefore,
ты
that the
упадешь
Supreme Lord
замертво,
can be
и
favored by
угодные
others.
мудрецы, которые
The
занимаются
goddess of
преданным
fortune,
служением,
Lakshmi, the
приносят
dust
тебе
of
дары.
whose feet
Если
is
душа
worn
жертвоприношения тоже
one head
останется
by
безжизненной,
others waits
то
upon
на
you
деревьях
is
лишится
appointed,
корней.
for she is anxious
Хотя
to
острые стрелы
secure a
жестоких
place
слов
in the
демона
daughter
больно
of the
ранили
king of
Господа,
beasts,
он,
who hovers
потерпев их,
in the fresh
растерпел эту боль.
weather
Но
of
увидев,
Tulsi
как
leaves offered
затрепетала
at your
страстная
feet by
земля,
some blessed
покоившаяся на
devotee.
его
O Lord,
руках,
you are
Господь слышит
exceedingly
злодеев. Так
attached
слон,
to the
которого
activities of your
преследуют
devotees,
поспешно
yet you are
выходит из
never
воды
attached to the
вместе со
goodness
своим
of the fortuner who constantly engage
золотоволосый
in your
и
transcendental
клыкастый
loving
демон
service. How
бросился
can
в
you be
погоню
purified
за
therefore by
восставшим из воды
the
Господом.
dust of the
При
past
этом он был похож на
travelers
крокодила,
by the
который
Brahmins,
гонится
and
за
how
слоном.
can you glorified or made fortune by the
Громовым
mark
голосом
of
он прозрел:
Shivatsa
тебе
or
пускаться
on your chest?
оставляя без ответа брошенный
O
тебе
Lord,
вызов.
you are the
Поистине бесстыдные твари
personification
употребили
of all
твою
religion, therefore you manifest yourself in three
Господь
millenniums,
опустил землю
and
на
thus you
воду
protect this
прямо перед
universe,
собой
which
и
consists
вложил в нее свою энергию, которая
of
сообщила
animate
ей
and inanimate beings.
способность
By your
держаться на
grace,
плаву.
which is one
Пока
pure
враг
goodness and
стоял,
good is best,
обладая,
where all of
наблюдая
blessing
за
kindly
происходящим,
drive away the
Брахма
elements of Rajas
воинственный
and
стал
Tamas
возносить Господу хвалу,
for the
а
sake
другие
of
боги в
the
это время
demigods and twice
осыпали его
born.
цветами.
O Lord, you are the
Вешали
protector of
драгоценными
highest of the twice
украшениями и
born.
браслетами,
If you do not
облаченными
protect
в
them by
золотые
offering
доспехи,
worship and
демон
mild word,
погнался за
then
Господом,
certainly
потрясая
the
своей могучей палицей.
auspicious path of
Господь
worship will
потерпел
be
и
rejected
услышал
by people
все
in general who
язвительные
act the
насмешки и оскорбления,
strange
которым
authority of
осыпал
your
его демон.
lordship.
Теперь, чтобы
Dear Lord,
не оставить
you never
свободного
want to
ответа,
auspicious
явил
path
свой гнев,
to be destroyed,
наводящий
for the you
ужас
are
на все
the
живое.
deserver
Господь,
of all goodness,
личность
thus
Бога,
to
сказал:
destroy the evil element by your mighty potency. You are the proprietor of the three creations and the maintainer of the entire universe. Therefore, your potency is not reduced by submissive behavior, rather, by submission you exhibit your transcendental pastimes. O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award to these two innocent persons, or also to us, we shall accept without duplicity. We understand that we have cursed you, faithless person. The Lord replied, O Brahmanas, know that the punishment you inflicted on them was originally originated by me, and that therefore they will fall to a birth in a demonic family, but they will be firmly united with me in thought through mental concentration intensifying by anger, and they will return to my presence shortly. Present, present, and they will return to my presence shortly. Lord Brahma said, after seeing the Lord of Vaikuntha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in self-illuminated Vaikuntha planet, the sages left that transcendental abode. The sages circumambulated the Supreme Lord, offers their obeisances, and returned extremely delighted at learning one of the divine applauses of the Vaishnava. The Lord then said to his attendant Jaya and Vijaya, depart this place, but fear not. All glories unto you. Thought I am capable of nullifying the Brahman's curse. I would not do so. On the contrary, it has my approval. This departure from Vaikuntha was foretold by Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. She was very angry because when she left my abode and then returned, you stopped her at the gate while I was sleeping. The Lord assured the two Vaikuntha inhabitants, Jaya and Vijaya, by protecting the mystic yoga system. In anger you will be cleansed of the sin and dissolving the Brahmanas, and within a very short time return to me. After this speaking and the door of Vaikuntha, the Lord returned to his abode, where there are many skeletons, airplanes, and all surprising wealth and splendor. But those who gatekeepers are the best of the demigods, their beauty and luster diminished by the curse of the Brahmanas, became morose and fell from Vaikuntha, the abode of Supreme Lord. Then as Jaya and Vijaya fell from Lord's abode, a great roar of disappointment arose from all the demigods who were sitting in their splitting airplanes. Lord Brahma continued, those who principally doorkeepers of the personality of Godhead have now entered the womb of deity, the powerful themes of Kashyapa Muni having covered them. It is the process of the three natures, asuras, demons, that they have disturbed you, for it has minimized your power. There is no remedy within my power, however, for it the Lord Himself who desires to all this. My dear sons, the Lord is the controller of the three modes of nature, and is responsible for the creation, preservation, and dissolution of the universe. His wonderful creative power, Yoga Maya, can be easily understood even by masters of yoga. That most ancient person, the personality of Godhead, will alone come to our resource. What purpose can we serve of His behalf by deliberating on the subject? Chapter 17. Victory of Hiranyaksha over all the directions of the universe. Srimad Bhagavatam said, the demigods, the inhabitants of the higher planets, were freed from all fear upon hearing the cause of the darkness explained by Brahma, who was born from Vishnu. Thus they all returned to their respective planets. The virtuous lady Diti had been very apprehensive of trouble to the gods from the children in her womb, and her husband predicted the same. She brought forth twin sons after a full 100 years of pregnancy. On the birth of the two demons there were many natural disturbance, all very fearful and wonderful. In the heavenly planets, the earthly planets, and between them, there were earthquakes along the mountains on the earth, and it appeared that there was a fire everywhere. Many inception planes like Saturn appeared with comets, meteors, and thunderbolts. Their blue winds, which were most ungiving to the touch, hissing again and again, and approaching gigantic trees. They had storms for their arms, storms for their arms, and clouds of dust for their ensigns. The luminaries in the heavens were screened by masses of clouds, in which lightning sometimes flashed as swords, lasting darkness regained everywhere, and nothing could be seen. The ocean, with its high waves, wailed aloud, and if it stricken with sorrow, and there was a commotion among the creatures inhabiting the ocean. The rivers and lakes were also agitated, and lotus withered. Misty hills appeared around the sun, the same moon during solar and the lunar eclipses. Again and again, claps of thunder were heard even within clouds, and sounds like those of rattling chariots emerged from the mountainscapes. In the interior of the villages, jackals yelled the potentially vomiting strong fire from their mouths, and jackals and owls also joined them with their cries. Raising their necks, dogs cried here and there, now in the manner of singing and now of wailing. O Vidura, these asses ran hither and thither in herd, strickling the earth was within the herd house and widely breathing. Frightened by the brink of the excess, birds flew shrieking from their nest, while cattle in one cow's head as well as the wood paced, chewing and wooden. Cows, terrified, yielded blood in place of milk. Clouds rained. Cows, terrified, yielded blood in place of milk. Clouds rained paths, the images of the gods in the temples shed tears, and trees fell down without a blast of wine. Ominous planets such as Mars and Saturn shone brighter and surprised the auspicious ones such as Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus, as well as a number of lunar mansions. Talking seemingly retrograde courses, the planets came in conflict with one another, marking this and many other omens of evil times. Everyone but the four sage sons of Brahma, who were aware of the fall of Jaya and Vijaya and of their birth as deities' sons, was seized with fear. They didn't know the secret of the portents and thought that the dissolution of the universe was at hand. These two demons, who appeared in ancient times, soon began to exhibit uncommon bodily features. They had steel-like frames which began to grow just like two great mountains. Their bodies became so tall that they seemed to kiss the sky with the crest of their gold crowns. They blocked the view of all directions. And while walking, shook the earth at every step. Their arms were adorned with brilliant bracelets, and they stood as if covering the sun with their waists, which were bound with excellent and beautiful girls.
Крашенным знаком Шивации
Prajapati Kashyapa, the creator of the living entities, gave his twin sons their names. The one who was born first named Hiranyaksha, and the one who was convinced by deity he named Hiranyakashipu. The elder child Hiranyakashipu was unafraid of these from anyone within the trees world within three worlds because he received a benediction from Lord Brahma. He was proud and puffed up due to his benediction, was able to bring all three planetary systems under his control. His younger brother Hiranyaksha was always ready to satisfy his elder brother by his activities. Hiranyaksha took a club on his shoulder and traveled all over the universe with a fighting spirit just to satisfy Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu's temper was difficult to control. He had ankles of gold tinkling about his feet. He was adorned with a gigantic garland, and he rested his huge mace on one his shoulders. His mental and bodily strength, as well as the bonus conferred upon him, had made him proud. He feared death at the hands of no one, and there was no checking him. The gods, therefore, were seized with fear at his very sight, and they hid themselves even as snakes hide themselves for fear of Garuda, or not finding Indra and the other demigods who had previously been intoxicated with power. The chief of the deities thinks that they had all Vaishnavas before his might roared loudly. After returning from the heavenly kingdom, the mighty demon who was like an elephant in growth, for the sake of sport, dived into the deep ocean, which was roaring terribly. On his entering the ocean, the aquatic animals who formed the host of Varuna were stricken with fear and ran far away. Thus Hiranyaksha showed his splendor without dealing a blow. Moving about in the ocean for many years, the mighty Hiranyaksha smote the gigantic wine-tossed waves again and again with his iron mace and reached Vibharavati, the capital of Varuna. Vibharavati is the home of Varuna, lord of the aquatic creatures, and guarding of the lower regions of the universe, where the demons then reside. The Hiranyaksha fell at Varuna's feet like a long-born man, and to make fun of him, he said with a smile, "Give me battle, O Supreme Lord. You are the guardian of entire sphere and a ruler of wide fame, having crushed the might on arrogant and conceited warriors, and having conquered all the Dayatas and Danavas in the world. You once performed a Rajasuya sacrifice to the Lord. Thus mocked by an enemy whose vanity knew bounds, the worshipful watchers waxed angry, but by dint of his reason, he managed to cup the anger they had spreading up him, and he replied, "Oh dear one, we have now desisted from warfare, having grown too old for combat. You are so skilled in war that I do not see anyone else but the most ancient person, Lord Vishnu, who can give satisfaction in battle to you. Therefore, O chief of the Asuras, approach him, whom even heroes like you mention with praise." Varuna continued, "On reaching him, you will be rid of your pride and will lie down on the field of battle, surrendered by dogs for eternal sleep. It is in the order of exterminate weak fellows like you, and to show his grace to the virtuous, that he ashames his various inclinations like Varaha. Chapter 18. The battle between Lord Boa and the demon Hiranyaksha. Maitreya continued. The proud of falsely glorious deity paid little need to the words of Varuna. O dear Vidura, he learned from Narada the whereabouts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and hurriedly betook himself to the depths of the ocean. He saw the all-powerful personality of Godhead in his boa incarnation, bearing the earth upward on the end of his task and robbing him of his splendor, bearing to all support on the end of his task and robbing him of his splendor with his reddish eyes. The demon laughed. Oh, an opposing beast! The demon addressed the Lord, O best of the demigod, dressed in the form of a boa. Just hear me. This earth is entrusted to us, the inhabitants of the lower regions, and you cannot take it from my presence and not be hurt by me. You are rascal. You have been nourished by our enemies to kill us, and you have killed some demons by remaining invisible. Oh fool! Your power is only mystic, so today I shall environ my kinsmen by killing you. The demon continued, when you fall this, your skill smashed by the mace held by my arms. The demigods and the sages who offer your oblations as sacrifice in a devotional service will also automatically cease to exist, like trees without roots. And now we will continue lecture, Srimad Bhagavatam lecture. We need some small break, 5 minutes. It's enough, I think. Just have a little relax. Thank you very much for morning reading. Okay, meet you soon.